So I'm on the mark down here that we call, in the village here, we call Big Ben. And it's basically named after the railway, which I'll show you in camera in a minute, which is called the Big Bend, where the railway goes round. It's a very, very popular mark amongst shore anglers here. I've been meaning to come down here a couple of times recently, but other people have already been on here, and it's not a very big mark, so once there's two guys on here fishing, there's no room for anyone else. So anyway, the tide's coming in now. It's just about to start hitting the rocks in front of me here. Okay, so less of ado, I'll show you a little bit of a look around the mark now. Then I'm going to try and keep the camera footage as little as possible to conserve battery and to just make it easier to edit. So let's get on with it. I'm fishing the same setup as I was the other day, where I've got two hooks. No, I haven't actually. I'm one hook on each line, so I'm fishing two worms at a time. I'll be fishing lugworm as well. Right, anyway, to give you the shot of the mark, it's quite rocky when the tide comes in. This is the little edge down here that you fish off. The tide will eventually, I think tonight, cover that, so I'll have to move back to this ledge and just remember to either cast left or right. And this is the Big Bend, and then this rock, this big rocky outcrop here, is what we call Big Ben. Anyway, without any ado, let's get on with it. Right, so we've got the first cast out there now. Wind very strong on the lines. It'll be very difficult to see if I get a bite as well because of the wind. They're going to be bouncing all shapes, so if I get a flounder, I'm never going to know until I bring the bait in. So there we are, that's the way it is. So I'll turn the camera on when I decide to start bringing them in. I've just put them out now. Got to be very careful because this seaweed down here is extremely slippy, especially in a pair of wellies walking across it. So, right, with a bit of luck, we'll have some tight lines, but I've had so many blanks recently, nothing surprises me. Right, so I've just brought my second cast out. I brought the first ones in, they were just absolutely covered in weed, and I've just put shorter casts out here. There's a good depth of water here now, and what I'm probably going to do is eventually this is going to break, the waves are going to start breaking over here, and I just think with this wind behind it tonight it's going to be a little bit dangerous by myself on this area, so I'm going to move just down about 150 yards further down there, and hopefully I'll be a little bit out of the wind and there'll be a little less weed, so it'll just be round the corner of the rocks further down there. I think that'll be a better position, so I'll just leave these out now till the waves start breaking. Then I haven't got much to pack up, so we'll pack it up, we'll move down there, and then I'll get back on camera out there. But I'll leave these out now for about 5-10 minutes, maybe 15, just to see if there's any action close in. Right, so we can see down here now that this area where I did have the rod set up is starting to flood now, so I've just brought them back. I'll leave them out for another 10 minutes or so. I can still bring them in by here. I can still walk out on there and get them in. I don't know if I've had any real bites yet. Nothing spectacular. So, and I'm thinking it is starting to calm down a little bit now. Now the main flux of the current has come through. There's a little less weed in the water. That's already pushed up. But I still think I'll move down that way a little bit. And fish in that area. I think I can see someone down there. Like I say, it's very hard to tell if there's going to be a fish on the end. I mean, you can see that one moving there, but that's tidal. You got the current, you got the tide, and then you got bits of weed floating about down there. So it's very hard to register bites in the wind like this and with a tide like this. There we are. We'll give them another 5-10 minutes, then we'll bring them in and move. And also it'll be easier for me to get home if I move down there a little bit. Walking across these rocks at night isn't going to be much fun, so it'll be safer for me as well. Alright, so I've been getting a couple of little taps on this rod nearest to me. You can see him there, tapping. Very hard to tell, it sort of shudders, so that's a classic flounder bite. Just a little shudder on the rod. and there's a lot of pressure on the rod and line at the minute anyway. But even this cheap ass £25 rod or £25 reel and rod combo, it still shows that bite, which is quite good. That's what I want to see with a flounder rod when fishing with flounder. I want to be able to register those little bites. So I'm going to leave it there now. With flounder, don't bother snatching at it, leave it there, because what it'll do, it'll just feed on it. If it was a bass, it would bend right over and you'd see a lot of action. Of course then you'd go and grab the rod and reel it in. But with a flounder, just leave it, just let it sit on it for a bit. So I haven't seen so much more action yet, but what can happen is once they've just got the hook in them, they'll sit there. And then a couple of minutes later you might see it start tapping again, and you're looking for a few of those taps over about 5 or 6 minutes. And then you'll know then there is a flounder on the end, but we'll see when we'll bring him in now. So I'm going to turn the camera off because I don't want too much footage. And hopefully when I do bring him in 2 minutes, I'll have a flounder on there. Right, so I've brought one rod in. Now I'm going to bring in the rod that is having the taps on now. I'll have to be quite careful now because obviously there's that rocky ledge just below here. So let's tighten up the drag a little bit. Oh, come on. There was still quite a lot of weed on that rod as well. Can't really feel anything as of yet. And I come down here a little bit. Got to be so careful on these rocks. Oh, I don't know, there's a bit of weight on it. Yeah, that's weed. No, I don't think we got anything. No. Right, so I've moved spots now. The other spot was the other side, so on the other side of that rock that I showed earlier. I put the 2 casts out. I had to reworm them all. Didn't have a flounder as you saw on the other rod. So we'll just hang about here now for probably the next hour or two. I will have to move further back as the tide comes in, but it's fairly calmer and shallower in this area. So let's just see what this brings us. I just had a cracking knock on this rod here, on the one on the right. Did snatch it, did pull it, but nothing on the end. So I'll leave it back out there. I was about to bring him in actually, so I may as well bring him in. That's a shame because it was a lovely knock. It was more of a sort of bass knock. It might have been something quite small. Anyway, let's bring him in. There we have got something on you. Got a little bass. Check him out. Right, let's get him unhooked. getting quite tricky now because the tide's... Alright, buddy. Off you go. Get back out there. Right, so I've changed this rod over to another 2-hook pennel. No, not 2-hook pennel, sorry, 2-hook flapper. So I've got two 2-hook flappers out now. I won't get many bites on that other one. So let's just hope this goes better. The only thing I would like to do is maybe pop the hooks off and put a couple of beads on there, but we'll just see how it goes for now. I'll put a couple of worms on each hook, and we'll just leave that out there. I haven't had many bites on this one, but I have been watching it much because I've been changing the hooks round. So let's see, hopefully there'll be a few more schoolies or something a bit bigger. That's what I'm hoping for. Right, well, I've just had a massive blast on this rod. Oh, don't say it's come off. Leave it gentle a minute. I just had a massive bite on this rod. Oh, I think it's come off. I think it's come off. No, he's still there. Oh. I think he's come off now though. No, still something there. He's just got himself hooked around the rock. Ah, okay. Another schoolie. What is it? Might be the same one. Not the same size. Well, that's alright though. At least we're catching something. So, just bring him up to the camera. So, we've got another, hooked quite nicely actually through the side of the mouth. A little bit smaller than the last one. Right, stop wiggling. Good boy. Oh, he's got his... That's it. Alright, he'll do. Let's get him back in there. Get him back in the water. Come on, buddy. There, he's off. Ah, excellent. 2 down. Let's see if we can get some more. Now we've got a 2-hook flapper on there. Oh, someone's out in a paraglider up there. Oh, if we catch that. Try and zoom onto it zoom in on it on editing. Perfect weather for that. Perfect weather for this. So I'm just getting a nice little knock on this rod here. A couple of little knocks. I don't think there's a take yet. That's more like it. I don't think he took. I'll just leave it slack like that. Oh, the other one's going now as well. Leave it slack. It doesn't look like that one stayed on. And of course I had a nice bite on that other rod as I was holding on to that. Must be a small school of shoulder schoolies going through here at the minute. It's funny because that other schoolie I took, he seemed to settle down once the hook was in him. Problem is now the lead is loose, so right, I've got another couple of fresh bits of bait out there on both rods. Things have slacked off quite a bit now. When I brought the rods in, there was still quite a lot of worm left on both of them. Two of the hooks have been stripped, two of the hooks still had worms on. So I'll probably do one or two more casts and that'll be it. It's going to be dark in the next half hour or so. I forgot to bring my torchlight with me. If I brought that, I would have stayed out a little bit longer, but such is the way. It was nice to get out, nice to catch a couple of schoolies. I've been blank in the last 2 weeks or so, and I've been out 5 or 6 times doing a lot of footage, so it was nice to break the blank. So there we are. Anyway, we'll carry on. We'll see. We'll never know. We might get something on top tide now. I think we're in. Yeah. Another little schoolie. Let's get him unhooked and get him back. Right, so the light's starting to fade now, so I've only got enough worms for one more cast anyway. Once these are 2 new casts out, here comes the train. Wave of the train. That's all the oil going down to London. Must be a massive shoal of schoolies out there, but it's been quite nice. I think I can't remember if it's 3 or 4 little schoolie bass, but it's nice to catch something, makes a change. I was saying, you probably couldn't hear a word I was saying when that train was going past, but I'm going to end the session soon. Sun's gone down, only got 3 worms left there. I'll wait now to see what happens with these 2. Tide has turned, which is good. Never know, there might be something big coming on the way out. It's just been schoolies tonight, but it's nice to catch something, even if it's a little schoolie. All been safely returned, all hooked through the mouth, so that's good. I think we've got something on the end here. Yep. There she is. Another schoolie. A little bit better schoolie this time. Oh, check him out. He's alright for a schoolie. Good little bass. Right, we'll get him back. I'm having a knock on the other rod as well at the same time. Hook through the side of the mouth. So we can see that. Okay, we got you unhooked, fella. It's quite hard to show off because he's a little bit feisty. I want to put him back safely more than anything. That's the most important thing. Ow! Go on. Off you go, son. I'm watching him. There he goes, he's gone out. Just had a slack bite on this rod. Yeah, got something on it. Yeah, it's coming in. Another schoolie. Getting bigger, aren't they? Getting a little bit bigger. Well, I don't know. Anyway, it's good to see all these schoolies. I think I'm not going to bother putting this rod back out now. He's very lively, I know that much. Why are you so lively? Oh, managed to unhook himself now and flopping about. Well, that's not going to help you, is it? Come on, fella. Oh, stop flopping about like a sardine. Here he is, he's upside down, so it's going to spike me otherwise. Let's put him back. There we are. Back he goes. He'll find his way out, don't you worry. He was a lively little bugger he was. Right, well, I'm not going to put this rod back out now because it's getting too dark. Leave that one out. Amazing, isn't it? A change to this 2-hook flapper from what I had on there. And this has done the business tonight. The 2-hook flapper. Now, I didn't make this 2-hook flapper. This is one of the ones I bought fairly cheap actually. You get a good old packet off Amazon. NGT, which ironically, a couple of my rods are NGT. Now they're very much a budget range. You know, by far one of the cheaper budget ranges. But I've got a lot of their stuff, and it hasn't let me down too much. I mean, I had the one rod where I lost the ring at the top, and that was after a couple of sessions fishing. Same rod as that, but it was mostly my fault. I had a snag and I really went at it to pull it, and it just broke the ring. But this one's held up all right. I've been out many times with this other rod over here, this one. So yeah, like I say, they're not expensive. They work out, I don't even know if they work out £1 each. I think it's less than that. I mean, for that sort of price, your job to make them. You know, they've got, by the time you bought the swivels and all that palaver, that swivel doesn't feel very good. It's alright. They cast alright. Like I say, I'm not banging out casts. I'm not doing heavy casts. I'm just launching it out 40, 50, maybe 60 yards, and that's enough for me. Don't really need to go much further than that, as you can see. Right, no longer, as soon as I turned it off, I'm back in again. And this feels like a better fish. It's pulling on my drag. It was a better bite as well. I don't think it's going to be anything massive. Still a schoolie, oh no, yeah, still a schoolie. Yes, he is a better fish. Definitely feels it weight-wise. Oh. If I had more worms and more time and the lights, I'd probably hit double figures tonight. There he is, flopping about, beautifully hooked. Hook come out. Hey, I'll have that worm back, mate. Right, let's just put him back before off he goes.